welcome. Hope you're well. So, for anyone who is unaware, my boyfriend has kind of a streak of picking 5-star reads for me. Like, genuinely, he knows my taste better than I know myself. I believe he's picked out 5 books for me in total, and 4 out of those 5 have been 5-star reads. One of those was 3 stars, but the only reason it was 3 stars was because the author couldn't write very well, in my opinion. If the author had a different writing style / was just better at writing, no offense, not gonna mention what book it is because I don't want to be mean, but if they were just better at writing, then that story probably also would have been a 5-star because I love the plot, I just hated the execution. So he's really good at picking out reads for me, and the most recent book that he picked out for me that ended up being a 5-star was actually Assistant to the Villain, and I'm here today to make a reading vlog about it. And I know you're wondering, wait, why are you making a reading vlog on a book that you have already read? And that's a great question. I'm rereading it. I finished Assistant to the Villain this morning, and then I went and immediately borrowed the audiobook and started rereading it. So I thought it would be a fun little twist of a reading vlog to make it about the second time that I read this book back to back, because it's very rare for me to read books that I love back to back. This is the 3rd time in my entire life that this has happened. The first time was when I was about 13, 14-ish, and I read Love Struck by Rachel Wing, and I read that back to back 5 times. And then the second time was The Love Hypothesis, which I read back to back last year, only twice though. And then the 3rd time is now. In case you're wondering, I do have a physical copy. This is what it looks like. It has these beautiful red sprayed edges, and it is 340 pages. And I'm just gonna warn you right now, if you want to read this, it ends on the end, well, ... for now. So it is this, this is gonna be a series, and it kind of ends on a cliffhanger, which is also why I want to reread this, because I'm just kind of like, I'm not getting the sequel for at least a year, so I might as well just reread it now and kind of curb that. So far I am quite a few hours into it. I believe I'm about 4 hours into the book by now, and it has been so much fun the second time around. I'm guessing the exact same feelings. I have forgotten half of the plot already somehow, so that's fun. And it's just been a really great time, even though I have read it already, which is such a relief, because sometimes I will actually, this is the 4th time. One time I reread a book, it was 5 stars, and then the second time, because I thought I wanted to read it again and then didn't, and then forced myself to finish it, ended up dropping it down to like a 2 stars. So I was worried that this could happen, but it's not happening, and I'm a decent chunk into it again. It is very fun. I absolutely love the main character. The only thing that I don't like about her is she has that very classic, oh, I'm so clumsy personality trait, which is just kind of, I don't know, I don't like it, and I think it has just like a lot to do with like, oh, the character's perfect, except the fact that she's like quirky and trips a lot, which I don't like. But with this book, it kind of just works because it's a very, very silly book. I also wanted to reread it because when I started it, my brain kept convincing myself that it was some kind of like medieval drama, when really it's just a medieval rom-com. It's very silly, it knows what it is, and it plays into it. It's fantastic, and the love interest, the villain, we love him. He's great. No complaints. Anyway. It's really fun. I'm enjoying it a lot so far. The plot is so silly. It really is so silly, and I'm excited to just share that with you. As of right now, I don't know if I'm going to make this a spoiler-free vlog or not yet. I kind of want to make it spoiler just because I don't want to have to censor my thoughts, but then also, I don't know, I feel bad for making it spoiler, so I haven't decided yet. But so far, what has happened is she has been employed, and they found out that someone is trying to sabotage the villain, and they're basically just trying to figure that out. And then, yeah, that's all that I can tell you if I want to keep this spoiler free. So I will check in soon enough and we'll go from there. But it's fun. I'm happy I'm rereading this, and I hope this reading vlog is just as fun as it would have been if I did this the first time I read it. So I am just over halfway with my second reread of Assistant to the Villain, and I have some thoughts. I do enjoy it at least the same amount that I did when I was reading it for the first time around, so I have a feeling that when I finish this I will either love it the same amount that I did or even more, and I don't know how it could be even more considering it's already a 5-star and a favorite. So the reread is going very well. It's very interesting reading it again and knowing who the bad person is and what the plot twist is, because it makes certain scenes and characters and like watching them, like you start to notice certain things where you're like, oh, that was actually a little weird, but I didn't notice it the first time because I didn't know to look for it, kind of thing. And that's been making it fun because obviously you're picking up more and there is a mystery to this book, so it's interesting rereading it and seeing how it differs. And then the audiobook is great. I really enjoy the narrator. The only thing that I don't like is the book is written in third person, however it's still dual POV, like we have both the villain and Evie's point of views, and I wish they had different narrators for the different points of views, because when I first started this it was a little difficult differentiating between them if you miss the character at the beginning of the chapter. I got over that pretty quickly, and I do think that it helps that I've read this before, so I already kind of know how each character sounds, but if I'd listened to it the first time it definitely would have confused me. So that's the one complaint that I have so far, but that's not really anything on the story itself or the author, and it's very minute. It doesn't make or break it, it doesn't ruin the story by any means, it's just something that would have been nice. So that's how I'm feeling so far. I am liking Evie a lot more this time around. I'm still not the fondest of her only quirk being that she's quirky and clumsy, but also considering how silly and unserious this book is, it kind of makes sense for the characters to lean into cliches a little bit. At least to me it feels that way, but I don't know. So that is where I am at. I don't know if I'll update again before finishing this, but it has been really great. I'm really enjoying it. I have absolutely no regrets about rereading it. I just know the ending with the cliffhanger is gonna be just as painful this time around, and I hate that I have to wait. And it's so crazy too because I'm not a series back-to-back kind of person, because then I get tired, but I also don't want to wait for sequels, so it's like, what do you want? What do you want? Because I don't know. So I'm confused. I am nervous for the end, even though I know what's gonna happen, and it's so painful. It is so painful knowing what's going to happen, so I'm like trying to appreciate the story and the characters more. The ending isn't a bad ending by any means, like it's not sad or upsetting, it's just a cliffhanger and something really, really big happens and there's no resolution for it. So that's why I'm saying it's painful, not actually like emotionally painful, just mentally painful. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. It's gonna be bad. That's the only regret I have with this reread, is that I'm gonna have to go through that again, but I chose to do this to myself, so who am I to complain? So the entirety of this clip is going to be a spoiler, so just skip to the next one if you don't want the spoiler. But basically, I just got to the point again where Evie and Tristan kiss, and it's like in front of the guards and they're being captured and everything, and she decided to pretend that they're married in order to try and get them away and everything. And the first time that scene came on, I was swooning, but the second time, I've been waiting for it this entire time. I absolutely love that scene. It is so silly and stupid and amazing. And I really love that he was knocked out, so when he woke up he thought he was in a dream and just like full force like went for it and like called her my love and everything, and then he woke up and was kind of confused but also just went with it. Like, it's just genuinely so funny, and I just love every moment of that scene. And I really enjoy that he slips up and shows that he wants to be like with her romantically, even though he doesn't even really know it yet. But it also like proves that he's been dreaming about her, because he's like, oh, another one, but this one feels so real. Like, I don't know, I just really love that scene, and I think it's such a cute scene too. It's just, it's one of my favorite parts in this book. So that was a fun scene, and I just wanted to comment on it because I love it so much. So I finished my reread, and long story short, I loved it just as much. I actually did just finish a video of one of the booktubers that I'm subscribed to that read this, and her review wasn't that great, so I'm a little bit bitter about that because I still really love this book. Luckily for me, by the time that I finished the second reread, not the second reread, the first reread, but the second time I read it, you know what I mean. By the time I finished the reread, even though it ends on a cliffhanger, I didn't really feel as upset by it as I did the first time, because I had reread it, so that like urge of like, oh my god, I need the sequel now had kind of been fulfilled by rereading it, because even though it's the same story, I have the memory of a rodent. So I forget the plot very quickly, so half of the book was new to me anyway. But yeah, so it was still the same world, the same characters. Like, I got what I needed from the reread, so by the end of it I was ready to have it be finished and move on from it. That being said, the reread was still so good and so much fun. Like I said earlier in this video, this book is just silliness. The YouTuber that I watched the review of this morning actually did say that the one gripe is that it's not really a villain romance story, it's more of an office romance story, which that is kind of fair. I didn't really realize that as I was reading it both times around, but that is a very fair point. But I think my problem was the expectations I had for this going into it were so completely different, because in my mind I thought it's gonna be like dark medieval kind of vibes, and it just is not. So overall, really not upset by it at all. It was really fun. I still really want the sequel. I can't wait. My next criticism is going to be spoilers, so please skip if you haven't read it yet. I do not want to spoil, because what I'm going to be talking about is who the traitor is. So if you haven't read it and you want to, please skip, because otherwise it'll kind of ruin the experience a little bit. But her dad, just the second time around, like, you notice things before you find out that he was the one that was attacking the villain, and he was just a really bad person. Like, obviously bad. Like, shocked that I didn't pick up on it. Bad. He is genuinely just not a good person, not fun to read about, don't like him. And then once you find out like the things that he did after you find out he's a traitor, it's like, are you kidding me? Like, he did the equivalent of today by just pretending he had cancer. Like, that is insane. Absolutely, like, ridiculously insane and terrible and awful. So don't like that. Did not like him. He was not fun. But I am very curious to know what is going to happen to Evie and her sister, and how living in the manor is going to be for her sister, since she is a child who I still don't know how old she is. I don't know if it's mentioned in the book at all, but I don't know how old Evie's sister is, so that would be useful. That would be useful information to know. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It definitely worth the reread, especially since I didn't remember the plot that well, so I paid attention a lot more the second time around, and I am excited to continue this series. I definitely do see the areas in which this book could be criticized, but for me, I don't mind it, and yeah, I definitely would recommend it. This was a really fun read, and I'm really happy that I reread it, and it's actually a series that I have wanted to start on my channel, of like rereading favorites to see if they're still a favorite. So that's gonna be fun. I guess this is the first one that I did, maybe the second one depending on when what gets posted, because about to start another one. So yeah, but it was fun and I would recommend this book. Let me know if you read this book, if you liked it, and if you haven't read this book, if you're planning on reading it at all. If you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.